All right. Okay. Y'all can enjoy this later. It's okay. It's okay. I know I would say that because I'm schizo. And maybe I'm being a little bit passive aggressive. But y'all see the title, and I think I'll explain a little bit. So, nationalism is okay for other countries while you still respect your own. I think that it's a time, difficult times we live in. That's my excuse anyway. Now, I've been fairly anti-American in my stance, but I will always be an American. I think I've always tried to make that clear. But I feel that I've promoted some other stuff that was kind of cringe because I just thought it was cool because everybody else was doing it. That's my excuse because I was ignorant of other cultures. But I think nationalism for other countries is perfectly all right. I don't completely agree with Chinese nationalism, but there's nothing wrong with respecting Chinese history and Chinese culture. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I know that, like I say, I realize to a point, this is kind of like the whole, fascist Europe. What if all the countries were fascist or whatever? It's like, that's okay. I do realize that, but I think that you can respect other cultures and still be a nationalist, and not just a civic nationalist. But I think you can respect it, just as the shock rights. Like I said, the shock rights is very protective of Ukrainian nationalism, and there's nothing wrong with that. I used to be one of these guys who just like, hey, let's make the jokes about Ukrainians. I realized to a point, I know I'm sounding a bit like a lefty, but in a way, I think that's cringe. It's like, you know what? If he wants to do that, he should respect that. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Um, but I wanted to point that out, and I'm trying to shift my opinions a little bit. I also want to combine this where you can't be. I mean, you can, but it really it's not a good look to be an edgy boomer who just continues to put out wild shit. It's like unless you have a dedicated platform to do that, it doesn't really make sense. What's going on? Benita Peppolini, how are you? Doing all right? I was gonna say is that nationalism is a complicated thing, and I think that like I say, there's this continued false dichotomy of nationalism and patriotism. It's a bit like I say, and of course nowadays, of course, that has been destroyed by many people to say that patriotism basically means nationalism or whatnot. Basically, what I'm doing with this, I think, is I'm trying to distance myself from these anti-American types who are just anti-American because they think they're edgy and they think that they're being good progressive people. I'm trying to distance myself from that, and I think there are plenty of folks who are trying to do that as well. Who are trying to distance themselves from the crazies a bit. I remember I saw this. I happened to see this tweet of a lady who apparently her son was getting calls from an army recruiter and basically said, "Oh, the genocidal American! I can't wait for this hegemonical system to break up or whatnot." And it looked like, and when you looked at the picture of the son, it's like pretty much two steps away from being a tranny. Basically, eye makeup, all this sort of thing. I was just like, okay. I just felt like, okay, let's go ahead and pump the brakes a little bit, and maybe realize a lot of things. Like I say, you have to take the hints when they come to you, and that's what I try to do in my life. I realize I can be edgy. I realize I can be very headstrong and just a jerk. I do realize that. I do. So I try to take the hints as they come and realize it's like, okay, I can appreciate a country like China, but also be like, maybe I shouldn't be so anti-American and pro-China because it's like, well, it's a difficult, like I say. I mean, I feel like a Walenda brother in a certain way. Yeah. What do you think of people who say it's not Americans, but the systems types? Do you think if they came to power, they would just change something, or would they just be red neocons? It's not Americans, but the system types. I think to a point, I think they would be red neocons. I really don't think that they would change anything. I thought about this with people like Vosh who tried to, you know, ride this line, or even people like Caleb Moffat who try to ride this line, or even people like Haas who try to ride this line. But I think ultimately they don't really want to change that much. I really don't think they do. It's a whole different thing when you get into this thing. When you get into the politics of it and you get into the way these systems work, whether it's for example, I was watching this video on making lithium batteries from Windover Productions, and like I say, I realized it's such a complicated international thing that is completely out of your control. And ultimately, I think in this day and age, I'm gonna say something that may be controversial, but I think that the world really can't label what is wrong with nationalism. Oh, there's nothing wrong with nationalism. Oh no, there's nothing wrong with nationalism at all. Yeah, yeah. Please don't get me wrong. Yeah, nationalism is okay, but it's okay for other countries as well. Like I say, it's a complicated thing, but I'm trying to ride this line. Yeah, nothing's wrong with nationalism. I'm just saying is that the way the world is, and I know people are gonna say probably will get me, misinterpreted. I'm gonna try to be very careful with my words. What I will say is that with the internationalist system that we have, or maybe just the globalized system, the globalist system. Let's just go full Alex Jones. The globalist system that we have now um, has created a huge imbalance, and it's something that I'm sick and tired of people who fetishize other countries. China, for instance, which hating their own, it's self hatred at its finest. Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And like I say, I haven't indulged in that. I haven't indulged and engaged in that, and I feel like I'm trying to step away from that. And I realize, like I say, America, the United States, has plenty of problems. Absolutely, it does. And you see people that are broken down, that are tired. And I think that like I say, I think that there are sparks out there, but I just think that people are tired. They don't know where to go. But and all the anger that they have is towards their fellow countrymen, if you will. The ideal solution is nations keeping to themselves and building inwards. Yeah, internationally, however, from a pragmatic position, it would be difficult due to various products that a nation needs. Absolutely. I'm glad. Thank you for saying that, Shockrays, because you hit the nail on the head with what I was saying while trying to remain neutral. But yeah, pragmatism dictates that we have to continue on with the system. This is why the radicalism that folks may talk about is not realistic, you know, and that you're not going to change the wheel. Is that even if you came into power, it's like there's a sort of thing. I mean, this has happened numerous times, whether it's with the Russian Revolution going into the Bolshevik Revolution. Um, they had to learn to play the game. I don't say that saying, "Oh, it's so great," but there are numerous roadblocks that exist. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can agree with that stance. Yep. Blind hatred of the enemy and whatnot is what people try to play nationalism as. And I think, yeah, I definitely agree, though. Yeah, it should be about love for your own and indifference to others. You shouldn't concern yourself with what goes on in these other countries necessarily, but people have to worry about them because it does become an issue. We see with Afghanistan, and I do feel bad about it, but ultimately, it's a fucked up situation where you'll see that apparently, Afghanis are selling their organs to pay for meals and whatnot. We see, the education in Afghanistan. The new, and like I say, the war is not over. The Taliban still has fighting that's being done. Um, it's a very sad thing. It is. It's a fucked up situation, and it's one of those things of if America had never entered, all that sort of thing. Yeah, I've been flirting with the idea of nationocracy. However, I still see myself as a NatCom slash Nazgul in the Patelian sense. Pytelian sense. Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's fair. That's fair. Like I say, I think it. Like I say, it's the same type of thing with the whole sort of, yeah. Assad is cool or whatever, but it's like, yeah, I'm not Syrian though. And there's a very specific history, and I think, like I said, we don't want to be the lefties who are just like, well, nationalism bad, bro. Nationalism's bad in all cases, or whatever the case may be. But it's like you do want to maintain some sort of history, right? It's like if you're Chinese, you want to be able to still look back on that history, even the bad stuff, or if you're German, or even American, you know, or Ukrainian, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, it's like I said, this is another one of these things that I struggle with. I try to understand where it's like it's a complicated world, and I don't claim to understand it. I don't expect y'all to, but I'm just putting out some dialogue. I know I sound like a therapist or something like that when I say it that way, but I'm just putting words out, just to try to get it out, to say it's a complicated, fucked up thing that we live in. It is. You know, I don't like I say, even when you so-called win, do you really win? And I would say, it's a matter of opinion. You know, it's like I always bring up this example because I'm just lazy and it's easier. But it's like, did the Germans really win France in 1940? It's a matter of opinion, I would say, because of the numerous amounts of forces they had to send in to fight the Maquis, the issues with Vichy France, this and that. Thoughts on the hostage situation yesterday? Well, like I say, a lot of folks are talking about it. I've kept somewhat up to date about it. Of course, people are talking about the fact that yes, it was an English national, but of course he was a Muslim who held up a synagogue. He was killed. Everyone else left unharmed. I think it's a screwed up situation once again, but I think that the United States is taking on the role as the British have done already, or like at least the media. I'll put it that way. That the media, the BBC, has done, and says, "Oh yes, well it's an Asian side. We don't, I think ML's had too much monopoly on all leftist discourse. Yeah, that monopoly, in my opinion, is poison the well. Leftists like me are disliked in left wing circles. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, yeah. I think that situation basically is fucked up, but it's not surprising. This is going to disappear and be memory hold. You have to remember is that the media today uh, has to keep a lid on many stories. I would say up to 95% of stories have to be, like I said, the lid has to be shut on. And it's like, no, we're not going to talk about it. He wasn't English. No, he was not. No, he was not. Like I said, no, absolutely, he was not. I completely 100% agree. He was not English. No. But that is what is being said in the United States right now. He he's being called English in the United States in U.S. media. the local Texas media. Um, no, I agree with you. He was not. Um, yeah, I don't like I say. I think that's all I can really say about it. There, like I said, I could really Fed post about it, but ultimately it's another shooting. It's another one of these hostage situations in a synagogue. So of course, anti-Semitism, this and that. But of course, they can't really promote that too hard because they don't want to be racist towards Muslims either. And I'm not gonna. Don't worry, don't have any beef with Muslims. I'm just saying, yeah, Lubin Press. Oh, absolutely. No, I agree. But there's a lot of that goes around, right? These stories come up every day. Um, and the details may change a little bit, but ultimately the story is seen as the same. So it's, oh man, like I said, it's a very difficult thing. Like I say, um, I think it's just important to realize these things. It's important to talk about these things and to try to clarify statements. It's important to do that because I think, like I say, it's a complicated thing, and we can't all be like, yeah, we're gonna change everything, dude. Yeah, no, no, no. It's the same thing with like a new manager or something like that. Yeah, we're gonna do things all different and whatnot, and then ultimately it's the same thing. It's the same thing as it was. It doesn't change because your friend is now the manager. It's like you don't have a friend anymore. You know, or if you do have, it's a different dynamic. You know. So really, like I say, well, let's bring this back around. I think that nationalism is a term that has been so thrown around. Same thing with fascism, or same thing with, you know, whichever term you want to use, socialism, that it's really up to anyone's interpretation of what it means. Now, for me, nationalism is just a pride in one's country. I know people say, well, that's patriotism. Well, yeah, but they say that nationalism is something more, and like I say, it's like national sovereignty, that sort of thing, right? Like I say, there are plenty of issues. There's plenty of things to dislike about the United States. Same thing with most of the Western world, if you will. Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of things you can dislike about it, but you're a product of that. So you might as well make the best of it. You might as well sit down, read, figure it out, talk to smarter people who understand what's going on, and be more informed. And realize, yeah, this system sucks, and you can't change every single little thing. I know people are going to say, "Ooh, that means it's just me trying to be pragmatic." Um, I don't really know where. I'm just sounding more and more like a pussy by saying it like this, but it's just a complicated thing. I know I keep repeating that, but it really is. All the nuts and bolts of this world, yeah. Has had the best differentiation. Patriotism is one night stand. Nationalism is passionate love. Oh, that's a good. I may take that, but yeah, that's a very good point. Though, yeah, patriotism is a one night stand. Nationalism is passionate love. Absolutely, that is true though. Patriotism can change and morph into different factors. It's like people see snitching on your coworker as patriotic because you're saving the American people, or the fact that you hate Trump and all the Trumpers and whatnot because that's patriotic. That's true American patriotism. Or the fact that you hate Russia, that means that's real American patriotism. But to me, nationalism is saying, realizing the faults of your own country, but respecting other countries. Like I say, maybe I'm putting too much into this, but maybe, yeah. But I definitely agree with that. Yeah, just saying that you love that person no matter their faults. Like, yeah, the United States has numerous problems, but it's still the only country I know. It's still the only place I know. And for all its faults, you know, uh, it's where I want to be. I'll put it that way. That doesn't mean, you know, it's not perfect. It's whatever the case may be, but it's a hell of a lot. You know what? I'm not gonna say that. I'll just put it that way. It's a hell of a lot better than other systems. I'll put it that way. Yeah. I think that's really it. Now I'm starting to run out of steam. Now it's starting to get awkward. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. But I will say to y'all, you know, here we are in the middle of January. The midterms are going to be coming up. Numerous people are going to be talking about it. Yeah, nationalism can also be seen as political execution of patriotism. Yeah, yeah, it could be. I also got the book by speaking of 21st century longest. I did get the short pamphlet that Huey Long had. I'm going to say, hopefully, it's fairly legit. Share Our Wealth. Maybe I'll read that one of these days. Because right now, like I say, I want to say it's a cold. I don't think it's a coof, but I think I just have a cold. So I'll wait a couple days. Maybe I'll see how it goes. Maybe on Wednesday when I'm off next, I'll read that. Share Our Wealth Reports by Huey Long. Fairly short. So hopefully, like I said, maybe I'll knock it out in maybe an hour and a half. Hopefully it doesn't go longer than that. So I'll go ahead and promote that. I literally just came up with that. I was like, why don't I read that? Be some content, won't it? But I think that's all I've got right now. Like I say, it's still cold outside. And of course, there's no rain, nothing else. It's just cold wind, just blow right through you, not even snow, yeah. Have you read any other Ernst Jünger books? I have not. I have not. I left off on the Worker, Dominion and Form, and so I may get back to that one of these days. I'll try to get back to it. I want to try to finish this book though. Words of Protest, and basically it's about Huey Long, but also it's about Father Coughlin. So eventually, I will get back to. Hopefully, I'll get back to the Worker, Dominion, and Form. But yeah, I haven't read any Ernst Jünger books recently. I have read Ernst Jünger on pain as well. I did that on stream. I will promote my stuff here a little bit, be a little bit promotional. So yeah, you can probably find that in the links somewhere in there if you check on my channel page somewhere in there. I can't think of where offhand, but yeah, I think that's all I really got. All I can really say is that you know politicians talk shit, police talk shit. Everybody talks shit, but I think everybody kind of knows it's like there are lines you don't cross. You know, and I think that people do realize that. You can dislike, China or whatever the case may be, but you're not going to go off and, you know, smack people up, this and that. Because like I said, I want to make sure here. You can dislike a country, but the people is a whole different thing. Maybe it's. I feel like I'm selling out a little bit by saying it this way, but yeah, it's snowing outside, but it's going to switch to rain. Wind's gonna be a bitch tonight. Oh god damn. Oof. Well, best of luck to you, sir. Okay, I'm just jaw jacking at this point. There's no real this and that. If I keep on going, I'm just gonna sound more cringe. So I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap this up here. I hope y'all enjoyed this short little stream. I was trying to I was trying to basically appeal a bit more to other countries while trying to distance myself from fetishism of other countries. I'm walking that tightrope. So there was an attempt made. There's an attempt made. Hopefully people will enjoy it and say, you know, Uncle Thomas, you made a good point on that. And that's all I want. Criticize policies and politicians to separate them from the people. Absolutely. Absolutely. I used to try to, in an ignorant way, I was like, ooh, why are lefties saying that? But I would say to a point, lefties are somewhat correct when they try to do that with, I don't like when they do it about religion, but about politics, separating, policies from country and people, very important. But anyway, I think I'll keep it at that. So I will bid you all farewell and adieu, au revoir, joigen, zaijin, uh, cheerio, whichever, right? I think that's all I got. So see you later. Bye bye, everybody.